folks, in this film today I'm going to be reviewing a 50-inch Hisense TV. This is a QLED E7 series TV which I bought on Amazon last year, actually about 4 months ago now, for £279. What I'm saying is, can a £279 50-inch TV be any good? This is my current TV. It's still got a SCART lead. It can't be any worse than this one. But I always, was led to believe that you had to pay a lot of money for big TVs for them to be any good. And I'm curious to see how good this one actually is. But this one needs to come down first, and then the wall needs painting behind it before we unbox and put it up. I'll be back. Right, before I go any further, I apologise about the flickering. My GoPro doesn't like these LED light bulbs, but here it is, okay? This is the beast out on the table, and this is the dining table for 6 people, and it pretty much fills it, so it is a big box. So I'm just going to go down the edge, like so. The box has got carry handles on the side. I don't know if you can see them just there, but I'm going to bend that cardboard down and bend this one this way. So that's what it's like inside the box currently. I've obviously got to get it out of here, which is going to be easier said than done. One electrical cable. One, what the heck's that? I don't know. One of them. 2 of them. So this is my glamorous assistant, if you can see her. If you can't, then just appreciate that I have one. Oh, that was polystyrene. Right, so that's around the top of the TV. Now I can see the TV. There we go. Right, it wasn't heavy, but it's just obviously big to get out. It's refreshingly not heavy. It's a lot lighter than my current TV. So I'm just looking on the back. Okay, so there are 2 USB ports, 1, 2, 3 HDMI ports. There's a traditional ye olde coax aerial port. There's that one underneath the coax aerial port, which I think is for like cable TV. I'm not sure what the one above the bottom is, but at the bottom we've got network cable, which I presume I'll be connecting to my router. And then we've got the old-fashioned AV inputs just there. I wasn't expecting to see those, to be honest, so I've pretty much got everything apart from SCART inputs on this side. And then on this side it's just the power cable input. Okay, so that's the back of the beast. Let's have a look at the front. And at the minute, that's all it looks like. It's got a nice protective layer on it, which I'm going to leave on for now. But it looks quite tidy. It looks long, as in wide, but it doesn't look as deep as my current TV is, which is possibly a good thing. Right, so I'm just measuring now how tall the TV is, and it is 64 centimetres, which is just over 25 inches in height, and that's good, because that means it will fit above my shelving without me having to move the shelving. Right, the full length is 111 centimetres, which is just shy of 44 inches. And then if you want to do the corner to corner measurement, that is where it makes it a 50-inch TV, which is basically about 128 centimetres. So I've got all the instructions and stuff to look through here. Those things I pulled out with the feet to go underneath it if I wanted to have it stood on a shelf, but it's going to be hanging from the wall. And I've obviously got the electrical cable down there too. So we've got the other TV down. There it is there. And this is the bracket that's on the wall, which I put up some years ago. And now I need to get this mounted so it can go on the wall also. Now if you look at the back of the TV, these are the holes which this bracket attaches to, but these ones are further in than this one, which means I'm going to need to use a spacer like that to get around it. Hopefully this is all going to work okay. I guess we're going to find out. So I've got the top one in, and this is like it was on my other television with the spacer underneath it, and that means that there is now clearance for this, but the bottom one is a bit more of a conundrum. Now on my other TV, the bottom one went underneath like so, just the same as the top one. However, if I do that, this isn't flush to the back of the telly, and it's actually putting some leverage pressure on the top one. So I think I'm going to do something different, which is to take that out, push that down, but I feel like maybe the spacer should go on top because it needs the spacer whatever happens, because the hole which I'm screwing into isn't deep enough. So this feels like the most natural way to do it. So hopefully I've done this right and my TV is not going to fall off the wall. I'll tell you if it does. And I've just spotted my first major error, hopefully my first. This should be on that side because that needs to be on the outside so you can reach it, and now it's on the inside. So I'm going to have to take that off there, move it across. Right, so these are now both on, hopefully secure enough. Right, that's hanging, yeah. Right, one of my biggest bugbears with electrical manufacturers these days is the pathetic length of the cables that they provide you. So I've not even unravelled that, but I can already see that that's 1 metre of cable compared to the old LG TV, which was enormous. So now that means I'm going to have an extension cable on this, which is going to look potentially a bit of a dog. Not happy. Hisense, sort your game out. This is pathetic. Right, I'm in the kitchen for a bit of better light. So that is the original. And this is one from one of my old boom boxes from the 1980s or 90s. This one will be long enough. It's the same fitting on the end. You can see. However, the one that come with the TV has a 5 amp fuse and my boombox had a 3 amp fuse. So I need to swap the fuses over. So that one, yeah, that's clearly a 3 amp fuse just there. And if you can, I don't know if it focuses or not on the GoPro, but it's a 3 amp, it says. And this one, the one that came with the TV, should be a 5 amp, according to what I can read on there. Let's have a look. And this one is a different colour, doesn't always mean anything. Let's have a look at this one. And yeah, this one clearly says 5 amps. So I'm going to put the 5 amp into my old plug and hold that down in place. And I'm going to put the 3 amp into the new one. And I shall just use this with my camera or whatever, you know, needs charging with one of these sorts of fittings. There we go, fuses swapped. Right, plugged in and it's just come on. So we've got the wires in place, we've got the HDMI cable.
To use accessibility shortcuts, press and hold the mute button.
So this has just caught me a little bit by surprise. I need to get the batteries in the remote and all that jazz. Back in a bit. It's a tidy looking remote anyway, not too complicated. It's got all the stuff at the top like Netflix, etc., YouTube to make it easier. And just popping these in. These are just AAAs which came with it. Right, it's asking me to select language English, so I'm going to say OK. Set up on mobile. Step 1, scan the QR code to download the app. Enable Bluetooth and connect to the LAN on the mobile device, then follow the instructions. So let's see what happens. So it's taking me here. Vida app. Install Vida app. Get. Connect device. Please make sure that your TV and mobile device are connected to the same wireless LAN. So step 1, connect to internet. Read setup agreement and begin setup. I've never set a television up from a mobile phone before. So I've got network and password in, see what happens on the TV, okay. Right, it's making me create an account with Vida. I'll be back. Oh, there we go. Right, we seem to be in business. I need to go through all the setup and all this stuff. I won't be using freely because I have a Virgin TiVo box, but it might make me go through things. But I am going to remove the stuff here. Blimey, they haven't half packaged this thing. I've got it. Oh yeah. This is one of those ASMR experiences. Watch the television come off at wall now. Right, it's now asking me if I want to update the television. I might as well say yeah. Just okay. An important software update, 1 gig, yeah, whatever. Right, I'm going to press OK for the reboot and see what happens. And by the way, any comments about it being above a wood burner, don't worry about it. That shelf is brilliant for deflecting heat. I've had a TV there for 15 years. Software upgrade is in progress. Right, it's done the update and it's rebooting. Right, it's all set up. I obviously can't be showing you the TV programme that's on for copyright reasons with YouTube and that. I'm going to have a little play with the TV and then I'm going to come back to you. Hey folks, it's the next day. I've got the TV pretty much sus now. I'm just going to show it you, and I can show you this because this isn't copyright, it's my own film. So I'm just playing a YouTube video at the minute. Or I was until it did that. So this is a landing at Beauvais Airport. Now you can see the visuals are good. The screen's a really nice size and it goes right to the edge of the frame. But the audio is awful. So I'll play you a different film now, and just to demonstrate to you like what I mean by the audio is awful. Right, so this is one of my other films, which is a flight review that I did. Manchester Airport. I'm heading towards the Lufthansa gates in Terminal 2. So my flight wasn't due to depart until 15:35, and this was 12:15. I've tried all of the different audio modes on there, and they're all terrible in one way or another. This is the worst sounding TV I've ever had, and I'm really, really disappointed by that because everything else about the TV seems solid. Great picture, easy enough to set up, it's very light and movable, but the sound is terrible. So when you're paying £270 for a TV, what that means is you've still got to invest another £100 for a soundbar or something that's going to make it sound half decent. My old LG TV over there sounded 100 times better than this TV. It had nice warm tones, a good sound to it. This is either tinny or booming. If you've got a television programme where there is background music and voice, you can't hear the voice for the boom of the background, and then it goes really shrieky and tinny sometimes. I'm just not impressed with the sound. It's absolutely awful. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to now buy a soundbar. I can't return the TV, it's past the returns window. So I'm going to have to buy a soundbar just to make it like listenable, because when I'm watching normal television, not YouTube, it is just a chore. So I have to say, would I recommend this TV? No, I wouldn't, unfortunately. And that's a real shame because I did think I was going to really like it. But because the sound is so bad, I just can't get into it. And I've tried all the different settings, like I say, but nah. So yeah, so if you spend £270 on a TV, be prepared to spend at least another £100 to make the audio better. That's the lesson that I've learned from this. So would I recommend Hisense TVs? Unfortunately, from this experience, no, I wouldn't. Right, I'll catch you on the next film, whatever that may be. See you later, kids.